Welcome to the Deep Dive, your express lane to genuinely being well informed. Today, we're diving into a topic that might seem a bit dry at first glance, purchasing. But trust me, it's so much more than just buying stuff. It's a strategic powerhouse. Really crucial. Our mission today: pull back the curtain, unpack its core principles, and show you why understanding purchasing is like a shortcut to grasping how businesses really thrive. You might uncover some genuinely surprising facts here.
That's absolutely right. What often gets, dismissed as just paperwork is actually the hidden engine driving efficiency and strategic growth. Every single product or service a company offers, it relies heavily on effective purchasing. This deep dive, I think, will really illuminate the surprising depth and the essential insights of a field that, yeah, it often operates behind the scenes, but it dictates so much.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Our sources define purchasing as, let me see here, the function of procuring materials, supplies, and services, maintaining purchase order priorities, managing supplier relationships, and ensuring high levels of performance to achieve quality, delivery, and cost objectives. That's quite a mouthful, huh?
It is, but if you break it down, you realize it's not just shopping, right? It's about orchestrating this whole symphony of
A
inputs.
symphony, I like that.
Yeah, think of a business as a finely tuned machine. Purchasing is that critical function, kind of positioned right at the heart of the enterprise. It works hand in hand with product design, marketing, sales, finance, distribution, manufacturing, all of them. It's the silent enabler, the
Yeah.
constant flow that keeps the entire system running. Without solid purchasing, the whole thing just grinds to a halt.
And what's fascinating really is how universal it is. It applies to all organizations. Doesn't matter if you're a tech giant or like a local coffee shop. The material we looked at highlights a few key categories. You've got resale industries, so distributors, retailers, wholesalers. Their whole business model depends on smart purchasing.
Absolutely. Buying low, selling high, managing that inventory.
Then there's conversion industries, mainly manufacturers, right? Where they take raw materials and turn them into finished goods. Think a car company buying steel and microchips.
That's a perfect example.
And finally, MRO support, maintenance, repair, and operating supplies.
Yeah.
Everyday stuff, yeah. Janitorial supplies, spare parts, keeps the lights on.
Exactly. The unsung heroes of keeping things running smoothly. So, yeah, purchasing is everywhere.
Okay, but what often trips people up, I think, are the terms purchasing, procurement, supply management. They sound similar.
They do. And they're often used interchangeably, which causes confusion. It's helpful to clarify because they represent different sort of layers of involvement. So, purchasing itself, that's the fundamental act. Just buying the goods and services the business needs day to day.
The transaction, basically.
Pretty much. Then procurement takes it a step further. This is more about executing the strategic activities around those purchases, building supplier partnerships, strategic sourcing. It's the who and the how for the important stuff.
Okay, more planning involved.
Right. Broader still is supply management. Now we're talking about developing and managing the company's total supply chain. From the very beginning, the raw material, all the way to the customer. It's the big picture.
The grand conductor you said earlier.
Yeah, exactly. And finally, material management. This is about the physical side. Coordinating and controlling the logistics activities tied to purchasing, getting things into the warehouse, moving them around, making sure they're ready. The choreography of the actual goods.
Got it. So all related but distinct scopes. That helps a lot. So given that bigger picture, what are purchasing's main strategic responsibilities? How do they actually operate inside a company?
Well, the core responsibilities are pretty clear, really. First, ensuring an uninterrupted flow of materials and services. That's critical. Then, buying competitively, obviously. Keeping inventory lean, don't want too much cash tied up. Guaranteeing consistent quality. And cultivating a strong supplier base. Plus, optimizing their own internal resources, people, and information systems. It's a balancing act.
It sounds like a lot to juggle, and here's where it gets really interesting for me, how purchasing actually fits into the org chart. The material shows it can sit at different levels, right? Executive, director, operations, each with different influence.
Exactly. And its relationships with other functions, marketing, sales, engineering, operations, finance, are absolutely crucial. They have to be tightly integrated. Think of them as a highly collaborative team, ideally.
And that positioning you mentioned influences whether they go centralized or decentralized.
Precisely. And it's not a simple choice. It's a strategic tension. Factors like the overall business strategy, how similar the products are across different sites, the total purchasing spend, and just the general management philosophy, they all play a part.
Okay, so let's dig into pros and cons. Centralized purchasing. You immediately think efficiency, right?
You do. You aggregate purchase volumes across the whole company.
Big savings on transport, economies of scale.
Absolutely. Plus, you get increased buyer specialization. Someone becomes the global expert on, say, semiconductors.
Right. Better coordination, control, less duplication. It sounds pretty powerful. Consistent.
It is powerful. And you get better use of tools like MRP, material requirements planning, and smoother change management.
But then decentralized purchasing offers something different, more agility.
Exactly. Agility is the key word. It gives more autonomy to individual facilities or business units. This means faster replenishment, better responsiveness to local customer needs. You can leverage local suppliers, link inventory needs directly to local purchasing.
More local ownership, you mean?
Yeah, fosters that sense of ownership. It supports local product development better, and it works well with simpler inventory systems like order points or DRP, distribution requirements planning.
So it's like that example you gave, Apple centralizing core components, but maybe a fast food chain decentralizing produce buying.
Perfect example. It's a strategic choice. Depends entirely on the context. No single right answer.
And within these structures, we hear about the buyer planner concept. What's that about?
Ah, yes, another important distinction. The buyer role is really focused on the deal and the relationship. They negotiate the contracts, handle changes, scout for alternative suppliers, do value analysis, build those partnerships, often dealing with exceptions.
The deal maker.
Kind of. Whereas the planner role is about the flow. They communicate the requirements based on forecasts or production plans, manage the inventory levels, analyze potential excess or obsolete stock. They're the ones working daily with suppliers on routine orders, planning for new product introductions.
So one's more strategic relationship focused, the other more operational flow focused.
Generally, yes. But it's very common, especially in smaller companies, for these roles to be combined, or even done by the same person, hence the buyer planner title. Needs a dual mindset.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, you mentioned strategic activities earlier. Let's draw that line clearly. Strategic versus tactical in purchasing.
Good idea. Strategic activities are the big picture stuff. Managing critical commodities, the items that are absolutely essential, non-negotiable, implementing best practices across the purchasing function, negotiating those large corporate-level supply contracts, and managing the relationships with your most critical suppliers. It's the long game.
Setting the direction.
Exactly. And the tactical activities, that's the day-to-day execution. Managing the actual transactions, sourcing items for a specific factory or office, generating and sending out purchase orders. POs, giving suppliers feedback on their immediate performance, maybe using the internet for routine sourcing and buying. They follow the strategic direction.
Got it. The strategy guides the tactics. Our sources lay out an anatomy of purchasing strategy in 6 steps. Seems like a useful framework.
It is. It helps structure the thinking. Step 1 is environmental scanning. Basically, looking outward, how can purchasing give us a competitive edge? What are the risks, the opportunities?
Step 2, organizational structure. That's aligning purchasing capabilities with the overall business strategy, centralized, decentralized, the roles we discussed.
Correct. Step 3 is inventory strategy. How do we buy inventory effectively? Timing, cost, risk management. Not too much, not too little.
Step 4, supplier relations. Intentionally developing those collaborative partnerships we keep mentioning.
Crucial. Step 5, technology enablers. Using the right tech systems, platforms to connect better with suppliers and improve efficiency.
And finally, step 6, performance continuous improvement. Measuring how well you're doing and constantly looking for ways to get better, drive that advantage.
It's a cycle, really, a continuous process.
Okay, we've used the word sourcing a bit. Let's define that. The material says sourcing is an integrated set of activities focused on getting the materials, supplies, and services needed to hit strategic goals. It covers everything from figuring out the needs, selecting suppliers, negotiating, contracting, and then growing those relationships.
Yeah, and then there's strategic sourcing. This is a more comprehensive approach specifically for your key material suppliers, the really important ones. It's not just about one-off buys. It involves analyzing your total spend for whole categories of materials and then focusing on developing long-term relationships with partners who can genuinely help you achieve your goals. Profitability, customer satisfaction, innovation.
So it's a definite shift away from just tactical buying.
A profound shift, yes. Beyond just the transaction.
So what's the ultimate goal here with strategic sourcing? Is it purely cost reduction or is it something big?
That's a great question because, no, it's precisely not just about cost anymore. I mean, cost is always a factor, but the core objective really is establishing those close collaborative relationships. Think of it like building a strategic alliance. You're both invested in success.
Mutual benefit.
Exactly. Which leads to integrating supplier input into your own product design, huge for innovation. Reducing supply risks, ensuring reliable quality and delivery, building a smaller, more flexible supplier base. Reducing overall external spend? Sure, but also reducing the cost of doing business, the transaction costs. It's about creating value together.
I see. And the criteria for when to use tactical buying versus strategic sourcing really highlight this difference. Tactical is for stable price items, high availability, standard quality, no customization needed, predictable markets.
Right, the everyday stuff, often. Whereas strategic sourcing is for items where the price needs negotiation, availability might be low, quality is critical, or maybe even unknown for new tech. You need customization, joint development perhaps. The market trends are volatile. It's about complexity, criticality, and the unique value a supplier can bring.
Okay, that distinction is clear. That leads us nicely into the actual sourcing process steps. Walk us through that journey.
All right. Step 1, make or buy decision, spend analysis, and RFP. First, the fundamental question. Do we make this in-house or buy it from someone else? You weigh costs, strategic importance, your own capacity, quality control, risk, lots of factors.
And spend analysis, that's digging into the data.
Exactly. What did we buy? From whom? How much? Looking for patterns, opportunities to consolidate or standardize. Then you might issue formal requests, RFI, RFP, RFQ. Request for proposal is common, asking suppliers how they meet your needs.
Okay, step 2.
Step 2, supplier scoring, assessment and selection. Now you evaluate potential suppliers. You look at cost factors, price, inventory costs, transport, but also, crucially, competitive factors. Things like their technical competence, reliability track record, quality systems, willingness to collaborate on design, and their financial stability. Are they going to be around?
And then you categorize them. Approved, qualified.
Right. Approved, qualified, certified, preferred, or even disqualified. It's a structured assessment.
Step 3, pricing, negotiation, and contracting.
Yeah, and this isn't just haggling over price. It involves price analysis, understanding the market, cost analysis, understanding the supplier's costs, and total cost analysis, the whole life cycle costs.
Beyond the sticker price.
Way beyond. Negotiation objectives include quality, service levels, control, contract length. And the contracts themselves vary hugely. Simple POs, long-term blanket orders, fixed price deals, cost-plus agreements.
There's lots of options. Step 4, design collaboration.
This is where strategic sourcing really shines. Working with suppliers on design, cost, value analysis, reviewing specs together.
What are the advantages there?
Oh, huge. Faster time to market for new products, shared technology access, designing products that are actually easier and cheaper to make, fewer costly engineering changes later, accessing the supplier's core expertise. It's a win-win.
And the final step, step 5.
Step 5, supplier relationship management, SRM. This underpins the whole strategic approach.
Right. So let's define SRM properly. What exactly is it?
At its core, SRM is a comprehensive strategic approach to managing all your interactions with suppliers. The key word is collaboration. It's about working together proactively to expand value creation, leverage each other's strengths, solve problems jointly. It's moving from a transactional view to a partnership view.
And the contrast with traditional purchasing is pretty stark based on the material.
Oh, absolutely. Traditional was often adversarial, playing suppliers off against each other. Lots of suppliers, focus purely on price, keep information guarded.
Supplier kept at arm's length, basically.
Yeah, exactly. SRM flips that. It's collaborative, works with a smaller core group of strategic partners, seeks mutual benefits, shares information openly, and actively involves suppliers in design and improvement. A total mindset shift.
What are the payoffs from making that shift?
The benefits are significant. Better financial strength for both parties, added value in your products, enabling strategic growth, better market access, stronger operations, increased expertise and skills. It's transformative when done right.
And implementing it is a process in itself, I imagine. Defining the strategy, setting criteria, enrolling partners, maybe piloting it.
Precisely. It requires commitment and careful planning.
Okay, wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot on the strategic side.
Yeah.
It really does make my weekly grocery run look pretty simple.
Well, maybe a little.
But that complexity is why these systems exist. Let's shift gears slightly to the day-to-day flow, the purchasing management process. How does that typically work?
It's generally a cycle. Starts with order processing, getting the need identified and logged, then data maintenance, keeping records accurate, replenishment planning, figuring out what needs ordering when, then the actual PO creation and release, tracking the order, receiving it. And finally, order closeout and payment, with performance measurement happening throughout.
And underpinning all that is the data, right? The procurement database files.
Absolutely critical. You have static files data that doesn't change often, like the item master, what the item is, its specs, the supplier master, who the supplier is, address, terms, price lists.
And variable files.
Those change constantly. Requisitions, requests for items, the purchase orders themselves, purchase history, what you bought before, accounts payable, what you owe. These databases are the system's memory.
Oh. And companies also make decisions about the timing of purchases, right? It's not always just ordering when you run out.
Correct. That's another strategic layer, even in day-to-day execution. You might buy as needed, just covering immediate shortages, or based on current requirements from planning systems like MRP.
But you can also buy ahead.
Yes. Buying forward means purchasing more than you immediately need, maybe to get a discount or hedge against a known price increase. And then there's speculative buying, buying way in advance, almost gambling on future prices or availability. Riskier, obviously.
And how do they actually execute the purchasing process methods?
Lots of ways. The most basic is the discrete purchase order, one order for specific items. But for smaller routine things, many use procurement cards or P cards, like company credit cards basically, to streamline small buys.
Saves paperwork.
A lot of it. Then you have things like blanket purchase orders covering a longer period or total quantity with multiple releases against it, or requirements contracts. The internet, of course, enables B2B purchasing online. And there's sophisticated automated ordering systems using EDI or web portals to generate POs automatically.
So lots of tools depending on the need.
Yeah.
And what triggers the PO release? How does the system know when to order?
Several triggers. A simple requisition from a user. A planned order generated by an MRP system based on production schedules. Hitting a preset inventory reorder point.
Or that Kanban system you mentioned.
Yeah, Kanban is fascinating. A visual signal, often an empty bin or card, triggers replenishment based on actual usage. A pull system, very lean.
Very immediate.
It is. Or it could be fully automated order systems linked to inventory levels, or even vendor-managed inventory, VMI.
VMI, where the supplier manages your stock.
Exactly. The supplier monitors your inventory levels, often electronically, and takes responsibility for replenishing it before you run out. True collaboration.
Okay, so the order arrives, then what? Receiving an order closeout.
Right, the final steps. Unloading the truck, verifying the shipment against the PO to get the right stuff, the right quantity. Unpacking and inspecting for damage, maybe unitizing it for storage. Checking the hot list for urgent back orders. Creating the official receiving report. And finally, delivering the goods internally to whoever needs them. Then closing out the PO in the system.
Seems meticulous. Accuracy is key.
Absolutely, you need that trail.
So with all this process, strategy, complexity, how do you know if purchasing is actually doing a good job? Purchasing performance measurement?
Crucial question. You measure it a couple of ways.
Sure.
Supplier performance measurement. How well are your partners doing? Key metrics here are things like product quality defect rates, meeting specs, on-time delivery performance, quantity received accuracy, flexibility, how well they handle changes, price competitiveness, and overall conformance to contract terms.
Holding suppliers accountable.
Yes, but you also need to measure the purchasing organization performance itself, internally.
How do you measure that?
By things like actual cost reduction and containment achieved versus targets, improvements in operational productivity, faster cycle times, fewer errors, how effectively they are building those supplier relationships, the efficiency of their own systems and processes, and importantly, internal customer satisfaction. Are the people who rely on purchasing happy with the service?
Makes sense. Both external supplier performance and internal efficiency and service.
Exactly. It's a holistic view.
Now, a really big topic today is global sourcing. What are the drivers there, the pros?
Well, the potential advantages are significant. Access to a much wider range of products and services globally, sometimes higher quality or unique capabilities unavailable domestically. Increased continuity of supply, not having all your eggs in one geographic basket. Often lower material or labor costs, though that's becoming more complex. Access to advanced technologies can also be a way into new markets, finding new suppliers, and sometimes facilitating counter-trade deals. It really opens up the world.
But it's not without risks, right? What are the downsides, the challenges?
Definitely challenges. You face increased product and delivery risk just due to longer distances and more complex logistics. Longer lead times are almost guaranteed. There's a potential for quality issues if not managed tightly. Currency fluctuations can wipe out cost savings. Cultural differences can lead to misunderstandings.
Communication must be harder too.
Much harder. across time zones and languages. You often need higher inventory levels in the pipeline. There can be domestic, social, or labor concerns. And frankly, the overall cost of doing global business can be higher when you factor everything in. It requires sophisticated management.
The real balancing act, then. High potential reward, but significant potential risk.
That sums it up well.
And connecting this to the bigger picture, the impact of the internet on purchasing has been massive, hasn't it?
Oh, revolutionary. Absolutely transformative. It's enabled truly synchronized supply chain networks in ways that were impossible before. You get vastly increased visibility into supply and demand across the market, price benefits from much wider competition, huge operational efficiencies through automation and digital workflows.
Better communication, collaboration.
Exactly. Enhanced customer management, improved supply chain collaboration. It touches everything. Functions like e-sourcing, using online tools to find and vet suppliers, e-procurement, managing the whole process digitally, and participating in e-marketplace exchanges have fundamentally changed the game.
Wow, okay. We have covered an incredible amount of ground today, from, the basic definitions and how purchasing fits in an organization, all the way through to strategic sourcing, global complexities, and the digital revolution. It's so clear that purchasing is way more than just placing orders. It's this dynamic, deeply strategic field that's just absolutely critical for any business wanting to compete and innovate.
Absolutely. You said it perfectly. It's moved far beyond being just transactional. Today, purchasing is a powerful strategic lever. It's about building relationships, leveraging technology, making smart, data-driven decisions. It really does create value that ripples through the entire company.
So, as you, our listener, reflect on this deep dive, here's something to think about. We talked a lot about the shift from that old school, often adversarial purchasing to this new era of collaborative supplier relationship management, or SRM. How might a company's serious investment in building strong, transparent, trusting relationships with its key suppliers directly impact its ability to innovate? And maybe even more importantly, its resilience, its ability to navigate those unexpected global disruptions that seem to keep happening.
That's a great question to ponder. How much is that relationship worth when things get tough?
Exactly. Something for you to mull over. Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive.